Hi, everybody. Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventures. Just Dave here. Today, we are talking about Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, Episode 6. This is going to be a spoiler review, so if you are concerned about spoilers, I would suggest you go and watch the show first before you watch this review. So, this is the 6th episode of the first season of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. I think there's 8 episodes total this season, so we've got 2 more left. As far as what I liked about it, overall, again, the cast was great. This episode in particular, I like Joseph Mawle as Adar, Morphy Clark as Galadriel, of course, Charlie Vickers as Halbrand, and Cynthia Dye Robinson as the Queen Regent, and Lloyd Owen as, Isildur's father, whatever his name is. I liked all of them quite a lot. The battle scenes in this one I thought were really well handled, and they looked really good, and well shot, well choreographed. It wasn't shaky cam. It wasn't too close. I could see what was going on. That's always important. There's a scene where they first get attacked and by these orcs, and then they kill them all, and they think they've won. And then they realize that at least some of the orcs were actually just townspeople in disguise, pretending to be orcs. And that was a cool scene where, he sees the blood, that it's red like human blood, and orc blood is usually black, I think. And so that sort of reveal, and then them getting attacked by more orcs, I think that was a really cool scene. Overall, I thought the action scenes were really well handled in this one. There's some stuff that's maybe a little over the top, but I thought most of it looked pretty good. And we've got some great orcs in this. Again, all real orcs, as far as I can tell, all real makeup, real actors, in the prosthetics. And we had some really interesting kind of different orcs. Like there's this one big, fat, kind of ugly orc in this episode, and a couple other ones that really differentiated themselves from just the standard kind of look of the orcs. And I like that. There's a scene with Arondir and the orc. Again, it's sort of an action scene that I thought was pretty cool, where we got to see him sort of show off some of his fighting skills, which I was somewhat impressed by. And then what's her name? Bronwyn comes in to rescue him. And I think it was a cool scene. I really liked that. It was enjoyable. There is a scene with Galadriel on horseback that's awesome, where she comes running in and somebody throws a spear or something at her, and she just flips around and does this really cool move where she's avoids getting hit, and then she does another cool kind of horse move, and it looked real. I mean, I don't know, maybe it was CGI, maybe they can do all sorts of things these days, but to me it looked like the actress may have actually been doing that stuff on horseback, and if so, then that's awesome. And anytime anyone does anything with horses, I'm always impressed, because they crippled Superman after all. So horses can be pretty dangerous, and I'm sure difficult to deal with. So I was impressed with all that stuff, and I liked that Halbrand caught Adar when he ran away. I thought it was a cool move, the way that he caught him. He kind of used his spear to trip up the horse. And then I do like that they showed us afterward that the horse was okay, which is always important to me. Even if I know it's a fiction or whatever else, but I don't want to see a horse get hurt. So that was cool. And again, very talented stunt horse that went down on its knees and managed to do the stunt. So good job, horse. I like the Adara interrogation scene. They have the scene when they're interrogating Adar, and the entire thing, I think every single scene there is a Dutch angle. It's this very weird, crazy sort of tilt to it. And I think it was cool. Dutch angles can be overused sometimes. It can be really annoying when they do them too much, or when they just do them for stylistic reasons. But in this case, I think it was done to convey this sort of off-kilter kind of weirdness, this energy that was going on there. And so for me, it really worked, and I liked that a lot. And then there's the hatchet fake out at the end where, he thinks he's got the Sauron sword or hilt or whatever it is, and then the kid unwraps it and he realizes that it's actually just the hatchet in there. It was a good scene. Some people pointed out, shouldn't they have been able to tell that it was different by the size? Probably, but still, it's fun little reveal, so I'm not too upset about it. As far as what I disliked about this episode, surprisingly, I really liked the episode, but I really did not like the first 10 or 15 minutes. I actually, the very opening, they show Adar's hand going into the dirt and stuff. That was a cool shot, and I thought that looked pretty good. And I was like, all right, I like this. But then there were some shots where they just looked a little off to me. They looked kind of cartoony. In particular, there was one on the boat where just the way it was shot with the angle of the boat, I was just like, I'm aware I'm watching a TV show right now. And then even with Adar at the beginning, when he's talking to the people, just something about the way it was shot, I didn't love it. It just seemed a little off. And there was a lot of stuff in the first 10 or 15 minutes that to me kind of reminded me of a kid's movie, or the Star Wars prequels, or even some of the Star Wars TV shows like Boba Fett, or what's the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, where it's almost like, is this for kids? I don't really understand what's happening here. The tonal shift is odd. And even the music, I love Bear McCreary, but even some of his music, especially in the beginning, I didn't really love it. It just seemed like kind of standard kind of TV show, music. So I'm not sure. And I was kind of ready to go like this. I don't like this episode. I think it's the first episode of Lord of the Rings I really don't like. And a lot of the first couple minutes focused on Bronwyn and Arondir's love story. I don't care about that. I'm not interested. I don't, whatever. I don't need it. So, and I think it was part of it too. But like, yeah, I was really ready to be like, I don't like this very much at all. But then they have this reveal where all of this, or this switch where all of a sudden they get attacked by the orcs. The orcs kills a woman, and then Bronwyn slashes the orc's throat. And I'm like, all right, cool. Here we go. It's not a kids show anymore. Now we get some cool stuff happening. And from that point on, I enjoyed the episode pretty much the entire way through. But yeah, that first couple minutes, I really did not like very much. There is some CGI in there that's not very good either. When at the end, when the bad villager guy, whatever his name is, sticks in Sauron's sword and it reverses the flow of water, or whatever it does, some of that looked bad to me. I mean, not like terrible, but just like, oh, okay, that's CGI. And again, it just takes me out because most of the show looks really good. And then you have a couple of these where something doesn't, and you're like, I feel like I'm watching a video game right now. So, yeah. I didn't like there wasn't any Elrond or Durin, which, I mean, I know that's going to happen. It's a TV show, but like, I like those guys. They're my favorites. So when they're not in an episode, I'm always a little like, eh. There was a point with Galadriel, too, early on in the episode, when she was talking to Isildur, where she came across a little unlikable to me, which is funny. I've liked her the whole time. I know people have said she's unlikable, but there was that scene too where I'm like, oh yeah, she's a little unlikable. But then she did that cool thing with the horse, and I was like, never mind, she can do whatever she wants. I don't care. Galadriel's awesome. So that's cool. The ending was a little goofy too, because you see this, everything's reversing, Mount Doom erupts or whatever, and then Galadriel sort of stands there as it's all coming down. It's like, well, that's not a good idea. Are you trying to kill yourself or what? Obviously, I assume she's definitely still going to be alive in the next episode. But okay, I see where you did it for dramatic purposes, but it was a little like, okay, whatever. Yeah. Other than that, this episode was directed by a woman named Charlotte Brandstrom. She's got a couple of umlauts in there. I'm not sure how to pronounce those. She's a European woman. I think she was born in France but raised in Sweden, is what I read. She's done a lot of European stuff, a couple movies, a lot of TV out there, a couple episodes of Outlander, a couple episodes of Jupiter's Legacy. She's doing a Shogun. There's a new adaptation of Shogun coming out. She's doing an episode of that, which is cool. So I'm looking forward to that. I think she did an episode of Arrow or something like that. And she'll be doing the next episode of Lord of the Rings. So even though, like I said, I wasn't too sure about the beginning, I really liked the rest of it. And I really liked a lot of the fight scenes and the action. I thought that was handled quite well. So I'm curious to see what the next episode looks like. In this episode, I did like that there was violence and gore. In the last one, I sort of mentioned that they sort of avoided showing it, and that concerned me a little bit. But in this one, no, we got some good violence. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't too ridiculous. It wasn't like 300 or Quentin Tarantino or something. But, we saw a lot of people would get cut or sliced, and it was just not a ton of blood, but kind of off-scene, but good enough that it didn't distract me or bother me. And it seemed about on the level of the original Lord of the Rings movies. Again, I haven't seen them in a while, so I don't know, but didn't bother me. The episode was called Udun. I don't know how to pronounce any of this stuff, but it means hell in Sindarian Elvish, so that's pretty cool. In the Adara interrogation scene, we got a little bit more there where Galadriel mentions or assumes that he is a Moriandor, which he calls an Uruk. He's like, I'm not an Orc, I'm an Uruk. And it's like, you just added an extra letter in there, bro. Like, it's not really that different of a word, but okay. Linguistics. Yeah, so they do mention that the Uruk are elves that are corrupted by Morgoth. A lot of people sort of already assume this, but then he does sort of taunt them a little bit, and he says like Halbrand obviously has some history with him. I don't think he's revealed exactly, but he's like, oh, I remember you. Did I kill someone you loved, a lover, a child, or something like that? Fun scene. I liked it a lot. I like how to say fun for these very, but yeah, good times. I was a little upset that Halbrand didn't just straight up kill him. I realize why he didn't. It's a TV show, you have to, but like that's kind of thing where like, I don't know, I would just be like, no, you're dead. Sorry, dude. I'm gonna save a lot of people a lot of time right now. I don't know why you tried to stop me. And then Galadriel almost kills him, and Halbrand has to stop her. And I'm just like, I'm gonna say right now, without watching the rest of the show, that if you both would have killed this guy right now, your lives would have probably been a lot easier. But what are you gonna do? But yeah, he does mention that he says, oh yeah, I probably did. And he also says that he killed Sauron. Is he lying or telling the truth? We don't know. It's possible, I suppose, but seems unlikely. So I'm curious to see where that goes. And yeah, I'm really curious to see the next 2 episodes of this show. So I think this is a solid episode. I liked it a lot. I actually think that the last episode I probably scored a little too high. Honestly, I think I gave it an 8. It was probably closer to a 7. This one is definitely an 8, I would say. Even though I didn't like the first 10 or 15 minutes, the ending and the rest of it, it's over an hour long, I think. So it's a long episode. Yeah, I really liked it. So if you saw the episode, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great night, and I will see you here again next week.